college, young man. That's one they told me. To health, wealth, and wisdom, therein lies the key. Fast forward to now, and here you'll find me not much richer, not much wiser, with a theater degree. I am a man who's worn many aprons. I poured your coffee, I poured your beer. I've endured right to singer with grace and with patience. And after all that, I'm so glad to be sitting here. Oh, I cleaned up a mess when children got sick. I know way too much detail about one boss's dick. I've been yelled at and screamed at, right to my face. I've been victim to thoughts inside tight enclosed spaces. And I am a man who's worn many aprons. I pour your coffee, I pour your beer. I've endured right to singer with grace and with patience. And after all that, I'm so glad to be sitting here. On those late lonely nights when the hours are long, I picture myself up here singing my song. 'Cause here my world's right and nothing is wrong, and I don't have to pull anyone more Mountain Dew. I am a man who's worn many aprons. I pour your coffee, I pour your beer. I've endured right to singer with grace and with patience. And after all that, I'm just so glad to be here sitting here. Thank you so much. So again, I'm Matt Scott. That song was Man of Many Aprons. This show tonight, Man of Many Aprons. Me, again, Matt Scott, I am the Man of Many Aprons. Right? If I did just blow your mind, I'd like to thank you for pre-gaming ahead of the show. This is a good opportunity though to remind you there is a 2-drink minimum. We could probably do Davenport's a solid and make that a 3-drink minimum from a bone. I think everybody here knows me, but for those of you who don't, my name's Matt. I'm an actor by trade. I play piano, sing some songs. I'm an improviser, write some songs. That's all kind of a roundabout way of saying that I am a server in a restaurant. And that's kind of what this show is about tonight. It's stories from my life as a very struggling actor. It's some jokes I've learned along the way, some songs that have gotten stuck in my head. Probably a big thing that you would need to know before we get too far ahead is I am the product of 2 music teacher parents. So that means a few things. Obviously, music was a huge presence in my life all the time. It also means that my parents are nuts. And like, musicians are crazy and the teachers are also a different kind of crazy. So that combined for a very specific kind of crazy in my house. Not a bad kind, but like, I'll give you an example. My dad, when I was like a 4-year-old kid, I really loved to eat breakfast. So like on Saturday mornings, I would bust into their bedroom and be like, "Hey, I want breakfast." And they were not having that, obviously. So my dad took to telling me that it was diet day and we weren't going to eat any food. He did this through song. Again, to recap that, when I was a 4-year-old child, my father would tell me that it was diet day. We wouldn't be eating. Again, through song. Eventually, I just joined in. I started singing along with him because I figured that was easier. And once I stopped fighting back, it quit being fun. That kind of was the end of diet day. You know, as you would expect, music was a constant presence in the house, but not necessarily in the way that you expect. Parents both taught music, like I said. Mom taught school and also taught piano lessons out of the house. So the soundtrack of my childhood was a little bit like this. Mom taught in the afternoons, like every day from the time I was born to the time that I left the house. So the daily like soundtrack would be something like this. Okay, now Drew, did you practice? Drew, don't play Star Wars. Did you practice? Okay, how much? Drew, you need to practice more than once a week. You need to practice like at least 5 times a week. And that's not to shit on my mom's ability as a piano teacher, but just the kids that sucked stood out a lot more than the kids that were good. I say all that to tell you that now, like, my brain kind of works like a jukebox full of novelty songs, and I attribute it to the fact that there are piano lessons going on in my house all the time. So I get songs stuck in my head, and they stay there for literally weeks at a time. And this next one is from that list. Trailers for sailoring, rooms to let 56. No phone, no food, no pets. Ain't got no cigarettes. I'll run 2 hours of pushing broom as an 8 by 12 4-bedroom. I'm on many means by no means king of the road. 3rd boxcar, midnight train, destination Berry. Old worn out suit and shoes. Don't pay no union dues. I smoke old stories I have found. Short but not to play around. I'm a man of means by no means king of the road. I know every engineer on every train, all of the children and all of their names, every handout in every town, in every lock that ain't locked when no one's around. I sing trailers for sailoring, rooms to let 50 cents. No phone, no pool, no pets. Ain't got no cigarettes. All but 2 hours of pushing broom bags and 8 by 12 4-bedroom. I'm on man of means by no means king of the road. King of the road. King of the road. Thank you. That's a song about hobos. Just riddled with totally outdated references. I got the song stuck in my head, and I was like, alright. It had gotten to the point where I was like, alright, I need to listen to every recorded version of this song just so that I can maybe saturate my brain and get it out. Did not work. I thought, alright, I'll learn it on the piano. Maybe that'll further saturate it and get it out. Again, no avail. Here we are, a 1.5 years later, and I'm playing it for a performance. That's my fiance right there, Tara, and I think, applaud her for nothing else than the fact that she had to listen to that non-stop for 2 months in a row. Like I said, my mom was a piano teacher, but I did not take lessons from her. I have an older brother, and through Adam, they kind of learned it just wasn't in the cards for mom to give us lessons. I think life got in the way, is a good way to put it. So it'd be like, hey, Adam, you want a piano lesson? Or dinner? So when I came up, Mom wisely recruited her friend, Mrs. Plunkett, which is a fun name for a piano lesson, for a piano teacher. The reason I bring up Mrs. P is because she's all over this show. She taught me how to read music, she taught me how to use my ear to hear music, she taught me music theory, how to be a performer. So she's all over this show tonight. Fast forward a little bit, I went to school in a little town called Tallahassee, Florida. Ow! Yeah. If nobody had responded, I was going to say hold for applause. Tallahassee, life moves a little more slowly down there. Case in point, we had a furniture store. Family owned, it was called Badcock and More. Yeah, it's spelled exactly like you think it's spelled. It had this huge illuminated sign so you could see it from the side of the road at night. For the first 2.5 years that I lived there, 3 of the letters on that sign were out. Yeah, there you go. Tallahassee's the kind of town where your furniture store can say cock and more for years on end, and you may not be in a huge hurry to fix it. The living situation was, we had like a quad, so I had 3 roommates. We each had our own bedroom and bathroom and then shared the rest. One roommate was barely ever there, kind of a non-factor. One roommate was my really good buddy, Chris. Chris is like my ride or die, still good friends to this day, we keep in touch. And then there was Roderick. I think everybody probably lived with a Roderick at some point. Things to know about my Roderick: he wrecked his car, or got in a car accident on the way to college for the very first time. Yeah, bless his heart. The result of that was he was terrified, just absolutely gun shy to drive anywhere. The result of that was that he stayed in his room a lot, or when he did leave, Chris and I would inevitably be the ones to take him. We kind of had like a bigger brother, little brother relationship, with Roderick being the little brother, so he would antagonize us a lot, and inevitably, like regardless of who was in the wrong, Chris and I would team up. So it'd be Chris and me versus Roderick, no matter what. So, Roderick would like come up and clap real loud behind our ears. We took all the dresser drawers out of his dresser and put them in the living room. He got mad and he locked us out of the apartment, so we let all the air out of his bike tires. He asked us to take him to the park for his birthday, so we took him to Hooters instead. Which I think the last one was really just us kind of being dicks, but you get the idea. It went back and forth, but I think the relationship ultimately soured for good when I wrote and performed this song. It's one of the first songs I actually ever wrote. I need to tell you before I do this that I don't remember what this was in response to, but it definitely was in response to something that Roderick did. It wasn't unprovoked. Roderick, are you still in your room? Why don't you come out? Your music's on, I can hear it playing. The volume's turned up way too loud. Are you chatting online or are you reading a book? Maybe you're just watching TV. I guess I'll find out when you microwave your dinner. 16-ounce can of Bush's baked beans. Hey man, are you still breathing? Are you still alive? I know that you're not leaving, 'cause you're terrified to drive. Roderick, are you still in your room? Why don't you come out? Why don't you come out? Thanks again. Like I said, that's one of the first songs I ever wrote. You probably may have been listening for the punchline at the end, and here it is. Roderick is a doctor of medicine, and I charged you $10 to come here and play, so joke is on me, I guess. The first apron that I ever wore, getting back to the theme of the show, was at a little place called Chick-fil-A. Hold for mixed response. Chick-fil-A is definitely the big leagues of fast food. A couple lessons that I learned there. First and foremost, in that type of setting, if you're at all competent, you're golden. And by that I mean if you show up on time and you don't hulk out in front of the restaurant and like rip your shirt off, you're great. Another big lesson that I learned there was with one of my great friends, Amber. And this is an important one. If you're ever in a position where you're filling up a soft serve ice cream machine and you're not 100% certain that what you're about to pour in is in fact soft serve ice cream, take a beat, double check, and just reread that label. We found out one night, about 15 minutes after we filled up the machine, because the sweetest little boy in the world came up and said, "I think there's something wrong with your ice cream." It turned out that Amber had poured it in coleslaw dressing, which is like condensed mayonnaise, basically. So we served this boy an ice cream cone, a mayonnaise cone, I should say. Next apron I wore was at another little place called the Home Depot. For incredulous laughter. Home Depot again is the big leagues, man. I always say you go to Ace to get a wrench, you go to Home Depot to build a damn home. Lessons that I learned there, man. A few things. First and foremost, with like the exception of 3 or 4 dads who are there by themselves, everybody else in the store is pissed. There's a few reasons for that. You work at Home Depot, and let's face it, nobody aspires to work at Home Depot. Usually the process for that is like, I guess, I need a job, so you either work there, or you're like a dude who builds roofs for livings, or you're supposed to be digging a ditch, and instead you're at Home Depot because Todd forgot to get whatever you needed the night before, so now here you are in the middle of the day, burning daylight. Or you're Todd, and it's the night before, and you've been up on a roof all day, and you're tired, but you got to get shingles because somehow you're the guy that's supposed to get the shingles. Or you're Todd, and it's the morning of, and you forgot to get shingles the night before, and there you are, because you already went to Lowe's, and they didn't have what you needed, and you stormed out in a fit. You got another category of people who are pissed. This is the one that I think is most fun to watch, and it's people who are building or renovating a house for the first time. Usually it's because they're learning how much a toilet costs, and that's a pretty tough realization. So, free advice, if you ever want to watch people fight, just go to Home Depot and scope out the cart that has like a ceiling fan and a toilet in it, and it's good watching. The last in that category is the one with which I empathize the most, and that's the dude that's just there buying a plunger. Or, variation of that, the plunger and the mop. That's the dude there's no chit chat, bring him up, get him through, let him get on about his business. I learned another really important lesson at Home Depot from one of my, I guess you can call her mentor. She was one of my managers. Her name was Dina. As my job, I was a head cashier, so part of my job was like to, at the end of the night when I close, we take out all the boxes from self-checkout and take all the money to the back of the store so the bookkeepers could count it. I did that with the closing manager, so when it was me and Dina, we had a little team thing going. We had a really good system. We'd load up a couple carts, get all the stuff we needed, and then march to the back of the store where the offices and the bookkeeping and everything was. Inevitably, when we would get in this room, which was like an 8x8 room, it's like the size of your bathroom probably, as soon as the door would close, Dina would pick this moment to fart. A couple things about that. First of all, like I said, this is the smallest room in the building. There's no windows. There's one door. It's poorly ventilated. So these aren't like garden variety Taco Bell farts we're talking about. These are like farts of medical concern. So Dina and I would be hotboxing in there, and it's just the two of us, which leads me to my next point. It's just the two of us. She doesn't have plausible deniability in this situation. I know that I did not just do that. She knows that I did not just do that, and therefore I know that she is the one who did just do that. The thing that I think struck me the most about that was that outside of the great outdoors, Home Depot is like an ideal environment to fart. I mean, think about it. It's huge. It's big. It's open. You've got all these like obnoxious odors. You've got tar. You've got paint. You've got sawdust. You've got machinery plowing by. So you can understand why I felt personally assaulted every time she chose to do this. I quit Home Depot. Not because of the farts. I got a gig, and I had to quit because I couldn't work with my schedule. That was awesome. It led to a great summer. I was in a play. I did some improv. I drank beer on the beach a lot. At the end of that summer, I knew I was going to move from Florida somewhere, and I wasn't sure where, but I knew I needed to fund that move. So I got a job at a little like pack and ship store. Think like mailboxes, etc., if you will. It was owned by the sweetest couple in the world. They were the greatest folks. For tonight's purposes, we're going to call them Lynn and Randy. Like I said, they're the sweetest guys. If you need a visual, for Randy, think like Ed McMahon, and for Lynn, think Judge Judy. Like I said, sweetest folks in the world, the greatest bosses that I ever had. One thing, there was a week when Randy was in Mexico visiting a friend, and Lynn needed me to call him for some business. I had been in the store for about 15 minutes. My shift had just started, and Lynn gave me her cell phone to call Randy. So, no big deal, that's fine. I pull out Lynn's phone, I open it, because it's 2006, and I scroll through, and I'm trying to find Randy in her contacts. No avail, cannot find it. I scroll through several times, I'm getting frustrated, and then I realize I have Randy's number in my phone, so easy peasy. I pull my phone out, open it again, first thing, and I find Randy's number, and then I dial it from Lynn's phone, okay? Now, to my horror, as Lynn is coming up to retrieve the phone from me to start talking, it comes up on her caller ID, Big Dick RLP. Big Dick, and then his initials, RLP. I can take this one of two ways. I can assume that Lynn does not think Randy is a very nice person, which I know is not the case, because obviously she's married to him. I know Randy, he's a sweet guy. Or I can take the second way, which was reinforced. Do you guys remember when your cell phone would come with those stock images? Well, she had the elephant. Like I said, nicest bosses ever. They were so nice to me. It was not until years later that it kind of dawned on me that that may have been the reason why. It was about this time that I had one of my best paying gigs. I was hired to be the pianist for an after party for an airline after the Panama City Beach airport opened. It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek theme party, so it was like a kitschy version of an airport terminal. And within that world, I played the kitschy pianist. I had a powder blue tuxedo with the frills and the ruffles and everything. And I was supposed to play for 3 hours. Did not have 3 hours worth of material, so I did some covers, I did some improvisation, and then I came up with this next mashup, which I'd like to perform for you. What would you do if your son was at home, right alone on the floor, 'cause he's hungry? And the only way to feed him is to sleep with a man for a little bit of money. I get by with a little help from my friends. I get by with some help from my friends. I will try with a little bit of help from my friends. What would you do if your son was at home, right alone on the floor, 'cause he's hungry? So for you this is just a good time, but for me this is what I call life. I get by with a little help from my friends. I get by with a little help from my friends. I'm gonna try with a little bit of help from my friends. It was at this point that I did not know what to play next. And to say that I had 2 hours left would be accurate. So I vamped like I'm doing right now, and then I pulled this out. Safety dance, right? I'm not going to play it for as long as I did, because I literally played that for at least half an hour. The only thing that saved me was that literally everybody at the party was drunk, to the point where they did not notice. Or, what was more fun, they did notice, and then they forgot, and they re-noticed later. That was fun to witness. Meantime, I'm living in Chicago at this point. I came up here to study improv, and to finance that, just to finance my life, I did a lot of weird jobs, a lot of temping. In my experience with temping, I figured out there's a few different type of jobs that you get, at least for me. The first one is where you just sit at a desk, and you're just literally a warm body sitting at a desk, pointing people to the bathroom and occasionally answering the phone. A few things about that. Usually people are going to talk to you much more slowly than they need to, because they think you're dumb. You can find some really fun Google searches from the folks who normally have that desk. And then they're also going to usually offer you like a coffee or a Coke, which you should always take. The next kind of job that I did was like just monotonous, like putting labels on mail outs and doing inventory, calling people off lists. And then the third category was definitely like a catch-all. So for me, like I had this job where I was an assistant basically at this daycare. And what that entailed was like I would go and get the cafeteria lady and bring her into the office. And then she would get yelled at for 30 minutes. The thing about that is I would never get dismissed out of the room before the dressing down would begin. So I would have to sit for these like 30-minute diatribes about why Linda was supposed to order fries instead of onion rings or whatever it was. I also did a job where I dressed up as a koala bear and I handed out like some of the freebies. And I did a similar job where I dressed up as an egg and passed out freebies. Think, if you will, what an egg looks like and what this costume, which was not very good, made it look like. And the thing about it was, it like sagged in the wrong places. I had a hat that kind of came to like a teardrop. It's all white, and for branding purposes, it says safest choice across the front. So I'm dressed like this, handing out freebies, and I say safest choice. Everybody assumed that I was a sperm passing out condoms. I'd like to do a song that's once again from the jukebox on my brain, and this one's actually my jam. This is Come Together. Thanks. That's again, Come Together by the Beatles. If you're never not sure if it's a Beatles song and you hear, that's your cue. Speaking of come together, let's talk about my ex-wife. We really can't talk about my life without mentioning that part a little bit. We were close. We really did care about each other, and we got along in a lot of important ways, but we were not compatible in the most important ways, and we just kind of learned that too late. I've been on one Tinder date in my life, and she asked me to describe why it didn't work, and she said 5 words or less. So I said, square peg, round hole. Which I think tells you that I'm pretty quick on my feet. Tells you a little bit about the marriage, and also a little bit about my wiener. My favorite story about that kind of illustrates our incompatibility is called Too Much Glitter. My ex was and is a very talented artist. She did a lot of cool things. Occasionally, for some reason, that would mean that like cereal bowls of glitter were just out and about in the apartment. If anybody knows me, you know that that's a horrible combination for me. If you don't know me, you're about to learn why. Over the course of about 6 weeks, I spilled some glitter off onto the coffee table where it was. Again, there's a bowl of glitter on the coffee table. Wrap your mind around that. She moved it a few weeks later over to a little table by the front door. I spilled it from there. At this point, there's about half the original glitter in the bowl. She decided to move it onto the microwave in the kitchen, where I proceeded to spill it into the only open drawer. I'm sure that if you live in that apartment to this day, those areas, like, it's probably just easier to embrace the glitter motif and decorate around that than to try to fight the glitter that I'm sure is still there. Yeah, we were the type of couple that she left glitter out and I spilled it everywhere. We were both creative, and very occasionally we did click and collaborate on some good things. And this next song is one of those times, and I'd like to sing it for you. In a quiet, peaceful town, the kind like Norman Rockwell painted, all was good and the world was right. Love and joy and peace abounding, but that soon was tainted, all because of one fateful night. Soon the town was overcome with fright, because someone broke into the lab and let out all the robots. And now there are robots everywhere. Someone broke into the lab and let out all the robots. And now they're attacking from land and sea and air. Land and sea and air. They broke into the shop pyramids. They recruited all the Roombas, those fancy napkins. That's when things really started to suck, right? Thirsty for more. They messed up an iPod and Zumba. I don't know what Zumba is. The people in the gym were out of luck. Defeated, they ran outside, they stripped off their clothes. They dropped to their knees and they started to pray. Someone broke into the lab and let out all the robots. And now there are robots all around. Someone broke into the lab and let out all the robots. And now they're attacking our hometown. They're attacking. There are robots all over the place. A robot just ripped off the mayor's whole face. There are robots all over the place, which leads me to the next thing that I need to say. I'm sorry that I broke into the lab and let out all the robots. I definitely didn't think that things were gonna turn out bad. I totally ignored the sign that said, don't let out the robots. Turns out my wife was right, and you can't get drunk from drinking Listerine. The yellow kind sucks. are misleading. I thought things were gonna be more like Short Circuit too. You know, with Johnny Five, and at the end they're like, hey, you're a human being, not a robot. It turns out robots leave us sad and dying and bleeding. What was this poor soul supposed to do? I thought he would be more like R2-D2. I also would have settled for Teddy Ruxpin. I'm sorry that I broke into the land and let out all the robots. Thank you so much. Yeah, like I said, wrote that with my ex-wife. I can't begrudge that relationship too much because if it weren't for her, I would not have moved to Georgia. I would not have met my current fiance, and I wouldn't have returned triumphantly to Chicago with Tara holding my hand. So, you know, I can't, like I say, limit that relationship too much. It led me to Tara. She's my best friend. She's my rock. She's my licensed massage therapist. She was not a massage therapist before I met her, which I feel is important to point out, because otherwise I feel like an NBA wife. This next song is a song that I wrote for Tara for our very first Valentine's Day together.
Aww.
I never could find water. I never had the magic eye. I never found true love, although I tried. Yeah, I tried. But suddenly I've seen clearly, like I never had before. Little did I know, each time you stood near me, what the future held in store. Oh, I searched high and I searched low, through the day and through the night, never even noticing you were hiding in plain sight. Now the past no longer matters, because I've finally seen the light. Now I can see it so easily, but hiding in plain sight. I can see the future in bright colors. We're kicking butt and we're taking names, remembering how we found each other, and how our lives were forever changed. Together we'll see all the world, until we're tired and old and gray. I'll be your boy, as long as you'll be my girl, through every new adventure to be made. Oh, I searched high and I searched low, through the day and through the night, never even noticing you were hiding in plain sight. Now the past no longer matters, cause I've finally seen the light. Now I can see it so easily, how you were hiding in plain sight. Thank you. Like I said, I wrote it and I sung it for our very first Valentine's Day. This year, I got an air purifier. Shipped it to the wrong address. I think don't lead with your ace is maybe the lesson there. Tara and I met in a restaurant. She was actually my boss for a little bit of time. Yeah, scandalous. I was a 30-year-old man before I ever worked in a full service restaurant. And lessons learned from that are, I feel like a person is generally great, you know? People become more difficult And then hungry people can become the worst. A lot of this crowd probably knows this, but there are a lot of things that your server would like for you to know before you sit down. You know, there's some lists online that you can read, but I think, yeah, they're all very, 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 very spot on. But the biggest things for me, first of all, I think I want you to know that the menu is like, it's like an open book quiz, and you're writing all the questions, so you know all the answers that you need lie there within the menu. Like, they're going to tell you if they have baked beans, because most places don't have baked beans. So if they do have baked beans, they're going to scream it on the menu. So otherwise, don't order baked beans, man. Unless you're sure that they have baked beans, don't order that. And then another thing, which I feel like can resonate within this group, your server, little known fact, is an actual human being. So just treat them with the most basic amount of courtesy and respect, and that's all we ask. This next song is in that vein, and it's one that I wrote specifically for the show. Well, your server is a person too, with a heart and a brain and with feelings like you. So next time you're out, no matter what you do, remember they're a person too. They deal with whining and complaining, and they're constantly explaining that the restaurant doesn't serve baked beans. They're on their feet, and when they eat, it's just some old side they repeat. Once again, the side will not be baked beans. Your bartender's a person too, with a life filled with friends and better things to do. And it makes Jameson with Mountain Dew. Remember they're a person too. They handle fake ID hipsters and people who don't tip because they don't serve Bud Light line. They hear tired old lines about reasons why. A Bud Light line is not the same as a Bud Light and a slice of lime. Cashier's a person too, capable of feeling blue. So don't shout at them because they're out of lice shampoo. Remember they're a person too. Your cashier's a person too. Your bartender's a person too. Your server is a person too. Your chef and your host and your boss are all people too. Your tattoo guy and your driver are people too. Current President of the United States of America. Yes, sir, is a person too. Thank you. I didn't know what to do. I felt like the fart sound was the most appropriate thing for a trumpet. No show with a dude singing songs at the piano would be complete without an Elton John or Billy Joel, so here's one. Goodbye, Norma Jean. Oh, I never knew you at all. You're the greatest to hold yourself while those around you fall. And even when you die, still out there, you all the papers have to say was the Marilyn was found in the nude. And it seems to me you live your life like a candle in the wind, never knowing who to cling to when the rain set in. No one of them likes to know you, but I was just a kid. Candle burned out long before the legend ever did. And goodbye, Liz Rose, which was my nickname for Princess Diana. No, not so much when she was alive, but totally after she died. Some people asked me to sing at the funeral, and I was like, no problem, y'all, I got this. Don't worry about what I'm gonna sing. You'll find out on the day of. he got short about singing Candle in the Wind. I said, shut up y'all, I changed like 3 dozen words. It's basically an Italian song. Whatever likes to love you, and in this case I did. Candle burned out long before. Your legend never did. Okay, I have a problem with the fact that Elton John wrote a specific new song for Marilyn Monroe, who he did not know. And then when his friend, his like close personal friend, Princess Diana, passes away, and he's just like, all right, we'll change a few does and it's here and there, and then we'll call it a day. That's not the only iconic piece of pop culture that I have an issue with, or that I'm not a fan of. I never got into Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry, I had too many questions when I tried to watch it the first time. I'm like, why did that tree talk? Why did that other tree not talk? It was too much for me to take in, honestly. I have a lot of issues with E.T. also. And I know what you're thinking, like, I understand. The mom is in a precarious situation. The dad is off in Mexico with some floozy. Nothing she can do about that. And I can even look past, like, the alien getting into the house. I feel like it's like a rodent or something. Like, you may not know for a few days. Where I really take issue, where I really take issue is the scene where E.T. gets drunk and ergo de facto Elliot gets drunk because of their weird connection. If you pause that, when he opens the fridge, there's an open quart of milk and a 6-pack of beer. Now think about it. It's a 1 mom, 3 minor, 1 secret alien household. So what the hell kind of ratio is that? It's 6 cans of beer to like enough milk for 2 people. I feel like she was thinking maybe she was going to drink all the beers and the time that the kids would drink the milk and she would have to be back at the store anyway. But still.